Welcome to Psychic Holistic Spotlight. I'm Bill Hannon, your host tonight. Tonight I have with me Mariah Almonte and Sherry Kachanis, and we are interviewing a world-renowned psychic intuitive, Roland Comtois. And what we like to focus on with him initially is how we can fine-tune our own psychic abilities. And then what we're going to have to do is just let it run, because we don't know what we're going to be taking. So Roland, good evening. Good to see you again.
Thank you, and again, thanks for inviting me. I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Right, that's great. It's always good having you here, and it's always good getting some insight. So one of the things we touched on last time was on what's a good way of going about going to center, going inside, setting yourself in a place where you can open to intuition or messages.
I think like anything else in your life, it requires a commitment to be present to receive. To be present to receive, you have to go to that quiet space somewhere within yourself, whether it's through meditation, prayer, sitting in a quiet space, or designating a place that really, opens up the door. And what I mean by that is, for example, when I sit in front of my altar, it's a key, a key that opens the doorway to the possibilities and to the reality that spiritual universe exists. So it's really by getting quiet first, right? And that takes a lot of effort. I mean, we live in a crazy world, and there's so many demands placed on every single human being.
And even if you are able to go someplace quiet, you got all these conversations going on in your head.
Right, and once you find that place where you should make these connections, then you have to train yourself in really being quiet and settled. And one of the things that I do is that when I'm in that space, and it's interesting, people think because of who I am, I don't get distracted. Well, I have ADD, ADHD, and every other probably issue that other people have. Yeah. And it's hard to stay focused sometimes. I have a child, and I worry about the same things everybody else worries about. So getting into that space takes a lot of effort and a lot of energy, and it really requires a commitment. So go there, be quiet. Once you get distracted, recognize the distraction, acknowledge it, and then let it go, and just sit in that space for a little bit of time. And you just have to keep practicing that experience until you've mastered being quiet. Now, I say to my students, spend a few minutes. I'm not telling you to sit there for an hour. Right. I'm saying just spend a few minutes. Not only is it good to it helps you get messages, but it also recharges your battery, right? And makes you feel a little bit better.
Sure, it does. It does. If you can go to that place and just quiet down, it seems like everything just kind of melts away.
It does. I love that place. I love that place.
Is there a better time of day to do that? Either at the beginning of the day, the end of the day, the middle of the day?
I think when you're starting out your program, I think you should do it when it's right for you. For me, I do it a lot during the day. I do a lot of preparation for my events, meaning I get quiet and I get out of my head and stay in my heart, and that takes a little bit of effort and energy. So pick a time of day that suits your schedule, right? Do it when it's good for you. You deserve this. You deserve this opportunity to be in that space. So pick a time that's good for yourself. And that's basically it. And once you're there, just be there. Make sure you pick a time where you're not worried about the kids or your husband or your wife or the dog or the bills. Just go and be in that place.
And be consistent.
Yeah, that's the trick, really.
That's right, consistent.
You've got to be consistent.
Don't give up hope.
What's that?
Don't give up hope.
No, my God. You've got to say to yourself, and you've done this with other things in your life, right? You've done this with other experiences in your life, so why can't you do it with this? Just get in that space, make a commitment, be consistent, be proactive, sit there and just sit there and be quiet. And be quiet. And when those things come up in your mind, let them come up, recognize they exist, and then move them on towards their destination.
Offer no resistance.
No.
Just let it go past you. And I find the same even with conversations with people throughout the day.
Yeah.
You know, people are coming at you with an issue or something like that. It doesn't concern you. You offer an ear, but you just let it go through you rather than resist. And,
Yes.
And that's the same thing when you're sitting.
And when you're in that space, at some point you realize that you're a medium, that you're a channeler. You know, and there's not one book that says Roland Comtois is the channeler.
No.
It says all of us
I know what you're saying, right.
are the channels. And if you're Catholic, read Corinthians 12:4. If you're Buddhist, read their scriptures. If you believe in Hindu, read the Bhagavad Gita.
Mm-hmm.
All of these books tell us that the soul is here, that it's in me, that it's in you.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that says it's in one person. It's in all people.
Right.
So once you're in that space, you realize, oh my God, that you're a medium too. That you're a medium as well. A woman said to me recently, she said, you know, I don't like it when mediums say that they are the intermediary between me and God or a spirit, but
Right.
that's what a
I can see
medium
that.
does.
I can see that. Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But listen, when a little old lady can't cross the street on her own, and you take her by the hand, and you cross the street with her, aren't you a medium in that particular moment of time? Or you're at school and you're a teacher, and that little kid sitting in the first row can't figure out what to do because they're distressed about what's going on at home. And when that teacher leans in and strokes the back of that kid, isn't she a medium? I mean, we're all intermediaries.
Right.
We're all that person. We're all those people.
That puts a different light onto what medium, what it actually entails. It's just a connection between you.
It is, and that connection exists here. If I reached for your hand right now, and I will.
It's a little cold, sorry.
A little cold, but there's something that happens. Aren't we mediums now making a connection to that greater energy that exists in this moment?
And I felt it too.
And you felt the energy. we all get to participate in the experience. So the medium is simply the person in the middle, right? And I've said 1,000 times, you don't need the middleman. You are the one that has the answers, you know? But until you figure that out,
Right.
people will come and see someone like me.
Well, I think a lot of people probably don't realize that. I mean, we are here. We all have that spark of divinity within us. It's our connection to Source that is relevant. But you know, we're not really trained when we're young.
No, what we're told is that we don't have access to that experience, or we're told,
need a priest.
that you, or that it's in another dimension and beyond our grasp, and that's not how I see it.
No,
it's just not how I see it.
Not at all.
It's here, it's now, it's present. The whole entire universe is present with me at this moment.
I think there appears to be, and I've experienced it with a close friend of mine, a fear of being quiet.
Oh my God, so true.
So, how can that be? Well, first of all, you have to want to tap in, because everybody has to be doing something all the time.
Right.
And there's almost a guilt associated with not doing something.
You're right. But we've been trained to be in that place. Now we have to retrain ourselves to be quiet.
And there's a gift that comes with that.
There is a gift. Let me say something. There is a gift that will change your life when you go to that place. Something amazing happens when you go to that place. You know what you find in that place? You find you. You find you.
Okay, and that is the scary part too.
It is the scary part.
Because you have to go through being you.
You
have
do.
to go through
How
it.
can you live this life without being who you are? Because you are a thread of this magnificent tapestry that exists in this universe. You're a part of the tapestry.
Okay, so there's a false belief then of who we think we are that we're going to see that's going to be ugly and we're going to hate it.
Sure, but you know, we all have a little, I don't want to say ugliness, but we all have that darker, heavier grief, sadness, shadow, depression, whatever it is that's inside of us. But in this place, you shed light. You know, there's a bench in front of you. One side says dark and the other side says light. Where do you want to sit? I mean, where do you want to sit? I want to sit where the light is. Yeah.
It's warmer.
Yeah. You want to sit there, but maybe that light is not as familiar, right? Maybe it's more gray. Maybe it's not black and white, you know? And we have to learn how to be in that space. So I agree with everything you're saying, but the end result is you find you, and you realize that you are a thread in this magnificent universal tapestry that is beautiful. You know, the critics of me say that they think I'm a little too lovey-dovey about the whole thing, you know? But I think love is the way to roll. I think love is what this is all about.
Love is all there is.
It is.
Why not radiate it? And you radiate it so well.
We all radiate it here.
We do.
We
We all
all.
resonate, we vibrate it.
But what if
Yes.
you want to hide sometime?
Say that again?
What if you want to hide in the dark sometime?
Just turn your volume down. You know, the little,
Perfect.
Turn your volume down. Oh, disappear.
Yeah.
Even in a crowd, you can disappear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
can still be light, but it's just like.
You can dim it.
You
Yeah.
can. I think you have to do what's right for you, what's best for you. And if you are honoring the experience of love and that loving kindness that exists in us, I think that you can get where you're supposed to go. You know, people ask me every single day, if I get quiet enough, am I going to hear a message from my mom or my dad or my kid or my whomever? Yes, I think that's possible. Obviously, I live this life. It's more than possible. It's real. That in that space, you'll hear, you'll feel, you'll experience that you're still part of them. You know, I'm always saying that they're not upstairs, they're not down there, they're not over there, they're right here. Right here. They're right here. Oh my God.
yeah, right,
They're right here.
right.
So why not go on some spiritual exploration with them and be there with them in that moment, whatever them is to you, or whatever that is to you.
Well, let me ask you this then. I mean, we're talking about conscious connection. What about in the sleep world? What about when you rest? I mean, is there a technique or a type of approach that you may use yourself to establish connection?
Well, you know, sometimes I just like to go to sleep.
Yeah, right.
My body, as everyone else, needs to recuperate
Right.
from the last 12 hours of living, and we need to restore and rebalance. So sometimes you should just go to sleep. And I think that is significant. Sleep is a worthy collaborator on our life experience.
Necessary.
Very necessary.
Right.
Now, do I put my hands together, put my hands on my heart and say, do you want to say anything to me tonight? That's fine. Yeah, you know, I go through this little routine of saying, you know, if there's a message I need to know that I'm not hearing clearly in my life,
Right.
I'll take it in my dream state, and I'll be aware of what I'm dreaming of and what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling. And that dream then becomes an elaborate purple paper message for me about something I need or something I am looking for in my life. So I think the dreams are a beautiful and incredible tool to guide us in our lives. So, but sometimes you just need to sleep.
Right.
Sometimes you just need a little rest.
Right. Well, I was just trying to solicit some type of tool that people may not use or may not be aware of. That this way, you know, once they experience a dream like this once or twice, they're going to realize that potential is there for you to do it consciously as well.
So one of the things I do tell the people that visit me at my events, I say if you want to really see your loved ones in your dreams, you have to go to sleep peaceful and joyful. You can't go to bed with anxiety or restlessness. You can't. You have to go to bed with what I say to them is, find the happiest memory that you have of your lives together and go to that place in your mind just before you go to sleep. 9 times out of 10, they call me and they say, oh my God, I had this magnificent dream with my mother and she was in a beautiful dress and we went on this amazing journey together. You know, so that's what we need to do. You know what? I'm about to tell you a secret.
You like secrets.
In the 40 years or more that I've been channeling messages, because it started when I was 5 years old and 10 years old, and I'm in my 50s. So for the last 40 years, I've never heard or felt the spirit world say to me, be depressed. I don't ever want you to get out of bed ever again. I've never heard the spirit world say, don't eat supper. I've never heard them say, don't live your life anymore. What I've heard them say is live your life. Live it.
Yes, yeah, I hear that.
You know, can I share a story with you?
That's great.
We love stories.
Yes, I heard that about you guys. I heard that about you. I was doing an event, so who knows where it was, wherever it was, and a woman came up to me and she said, I just need to know something. And I started feeling a story about her son. I realized that her son had committed suicide in this message. And I went on and on and on and on telling her whatever it is that I heard. And then I felt this tapping on my shoulder. And I heard this boy say to me in my head, but don't forget about me. And I looked at the lady and I said, someone is saying, don't forget about me. Well, this woman lost 2 sons. And she lost her 2 sons very tragically. Yeah. There was a moment there when that little boy, this is what I heard. This is how it felt.
Feel, right?
Like somebody was tapping me on the shoulder saying,
Mister.
Yeah, don't forget me, don't forget me. And I started to tell her about what I was feeling and experiencing. And she just wept. She just wept. She couldn't move, she couldn't breathe, she couldn't think, she couldn't do anything. But she also told me that as I was talking, she could feel this kind of tapping on her, and she wondered why. You know, so I think that, I don't know where I was going with this conversation, but I wanted to tell you the story.
That's great. That's great.
I wanted to tell you the story that in any moment, it's possible if you're open. So we talked about going into that space where it's quiet. We were in a store, right, in a metaphysical shop somewhere, and it wasn't quiet. There were people, there was energy, there was activity. Sure. But that one little boy doing this.
Right.
Because he wanted his mother to know that the 2 brothers were together on the other side.
Right.
Now, I think about that lady a lot. Now, I don't remember the stories that I write. I barely remember the stories that I tell, but I remember her. I remember her because I remember her son. I remember the face, I remember the energy, I remember the love, and I remember the connection. It's never left my mind. That little boy, not even a little, he was a young man, tapping my shoulder saying, don't forget about me. It was a remarkable moment of the continuity of love. But we don't have to search high and low, we just have to be present. And in that quiet place, we can accomplish that somehow. We can get there. I don't know where I was going with the story, but it was a good one anyways. I don't know where we were supposed to go.
Well, we're here.
We're here. Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. We're right where we're supposed to be.
So let's touch on these right here. Now, you've told us before about your purple papers, and you actually brought a few out just as an example.
Right, so there's a purple paper in front of me that says Joseph Tatro. I have no idea who Joseph Tatro is. I heard that message on December 18th, 2014, and there's a long story about him and the hospital and the house, and I don't know who he is.
Right.
I don't know when I'll meet his family, but I know I will meet his family.
Right.
I don't know when I'm going to meet the family of Mr. Ray Gillette. There's a paper in there, but I know I'm going to meet his family. There's a paper dated 2010 or 11 from Mrs. LaFrancois. I have no idea who she is, but I know that she existed, that she too was a thread of that tapestry, and that message will bring them together for a moment of peace and a moment of ease. So these are all pre-recorded in advance of meeting people, the messages that I am meant to share. They have color, they have energy, they have stories.
Sure.
And they tell the story.
Sure, sure.
So I don't know who Joseph Tatro is. I don't know who any of them are.
Right.
But I know they've existed in some place or some time. Otherwise, this wouldn't be happening. And 10 years into writing them, I've written thousands of them. Thousands. I have, because all of them get photographed.
Okay.
And they all go into a book.
Oh.
And in 2010 and 11, they went to a researcher to see if I was crazy.
Oh, okay.
And they haven't made that decision yet, if I'm crazy or not.
Could it be that you're the one that takes these elements and brings them together, and that's all that needs to be done?
Yes. Something happens there. You know, I could try to figure it out all day long, and
Right.
what's the point?
Right,
The
what
end
about it?
result
Right.
is a woman left that audience somewhere with a moment of peace because she felt peace.
Right.
Because of what she heard, what
That's
she
right.
experienced,
That's right.
what she felt, you know. Not everybody gets a purple paper at these events. Not everybody
oh,
gets a
no,
message.
how could you?
It's impossible.
Right.
But everybody leaves with the possibility.
But, I mean, don't some of these messages come to you a day, week, a month before? I mean, you
Yeah.
just feel inspired to jot something down.
Well, I have a routine now. I write messages before every single event that I do.
I see.
So I don't do them on my days off.
Right.
My days off are my days off,
Right,
right? You
right.
know, so I don't do them on my days off, but I write them probably 5 days a week.
Right.
And all I know is that I'm hearing that, I'm feeling that, I'm experiencing it, and my mission is to pass it along.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think your analogy of those elements all coming together for that to be recorded on that one purple paper certainly is profound in my mind. It certainly is what happens. All these pieces are coming together, and then those people that I meet are a part of the story as well, and they hear exactly what they need to hear,
Right, right.
what they need to experience.
It's all a part of the book of life.
It is a part of the book of life. You know, the book of life is one of the chapters in one of my books.
Excellent.
And it is about the book of life. We all have this magnificent book of life within us, right? Don't
That's
we?
right. That's right. That's right. Right.
No,
I mean,
aren't we all amazing, incredible human beings? And when we tap into that, the truth of who we are, the essence of who we are, I just think anything is possible.
It seems like to me like it's. I'm sorry, Sherry.
Okay.
That it's almost like a prayer.
Oh, wow.
I mean, because any writing, any thought they say is a prayer.
Yes.
So
It is a
in
prayer.
that context, it's out there.
Yeah, it is. It's just a little glimpse of something, a glimpse of a story. You know, I call them love letters from heaven, or at least people around me call them love letters from heaven, that they're a glimpse of a story. What they do, what they truly do, though, is they remind us that love is everlasting. They remind us that Joseph was an important part of someone's life. They remind us that who we were to each other, that we still are, right? That prayer that was written in 1918, and now it's just elusive right at this second. I'll get it in a minute.
Yeah.
But it is about us being there, that death is not the end, but the beginning of another aspect of the journey, right? And this reminds us that we had a journey together.
Sure,
somehow.
sure. I mean, I've actually referred to people as sometimes that have been grief-struck as to, you know, a passing of somebody. And, you know, I said, you know, well, you look at it from this point of view that, I mean, they were born and they came into this life with us and they are born on the other side. It's not a death, it's just another type of birth.
You know, I gotta say though that I agree with you.
Right.
But when my mother died,
Yes,
it was death to me.
yes, of course.
Because I was
It
a
was an
50-year-old
ending,
kid,
right.
you know, really saddened by her passing.
course.
You know, I'll never forget the day that I walked into my mother's rehab room. It was days, I don't remember the number, maybe 40, 50 days before she passed away, and she said, "Oh my God, Roland, you're not nuts," she said. I said, "What do you mean, Ma?" She said, "You know, I thought you were a little crazy all these years." She said, "With your stories," she said, "you're not nuts." And then she started to tear up, and she said that they all came to her the night before in this very magnificent dream.
Right.
That her brothers and sisters that had passed before her,
Right.
and her mother and father that died 40 years ago, stood by her bed that night. They came to tell her that her time was coming soon,
Right.
though. And she said, "But don't be afraid, Roland." She said, "Because when they come for me," oh, I'm getting emotional telling you this
Yes,
story.
yeah, of course.
"When they come for me," she says, "it'll be minutes before I leave,
Yes.
and I'll be okay. And you won't have to worry about me anymore." And then she took my hand and she looked deep into my eyes. And she said, "Roland, what are you going to do when I'm gone?" I said, "Mom, you've never left before. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I know I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because the love that we share is a love that is so powerful,
Right.
so beautiful,
Right.
that it cannot be broken by death." I will never, ever forget her face because she didn't believe. She believed, but she didn't believe. She was afraid. She
Right.
wanted to.
Sure,
She
sure.
wanted to get a message. She wanted to feel the energy. And then she had her own beautiful and wonderful moment that said to her that they will carry
There's,
her on.
there's validity. It's not just a reference point anymore.
Right.
It's an actual experience to her.
Yeah, it was an experience, and it was so remarkable, and it was so wonderful to be part of that. And so death, when someone dies, there's death involved. The
Right.
physical body goes.
Right.
I'm a nurse. I've been practicing nursing my whole life, and you know, we die. We start dying right from the get-go. Our cells start to go. Our body will not sustain the journey, but it's okay because love is everlasting. You know, the power that exists between us and our loved ones that have passed exists here. And if we go quiet and settle and be in that space that I've referred to many times tonight, you too will have a moment that is so remarkable that you know that you have touched the hand of your loved one. That's how powerful it is.
Right.
That's how magnificent it truly is. It's there for you. It's there for all of us, right? It's there for all of us. So my mother's face gleaming and glowing that night is what I carry with me.
Of course.
And the idea that she said, hey, you're not crazy, you're not crazy, you know. I finally got some accolades from
She
her.
struck a chord with your experience, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what you're resonating to right now, is that.
Yeah,
That's
that
great.
experience.
Right.
So I go back to that place because it brings me joy. I don't go to the place where I long. I go to the place that I remember where the joy is, because that gives me inspiration to do what it is that I need to do. And by the way, I know we don't have much time, but this whole place is full of angels right now. It just, something just shifted right now, and there's incredible energy near Josie. There's lots of spirit and energy near Josie right now over there. There's incredible energy moving through this space right now. So if you want to make a connection to your loved ones, just ask. Just ask. Just ask. Why don't you ask?
That's what I'm doing.
I am.
I am. That's what I'm doing.
Ask.
And express gratitude.
Yeah.
You know?
Just ask. And be in that place to receive. We're not comfortable with receiving, some of us. So that is unfamiliar territory to some. But we have got to receive. That will help us to move forward, to embrace the journey for what it is.
Well, it's part of the ebb and flow. If you can't be all one way.
Yeah, it can't be all one way, that's
right,
for sure.
There has to be an ebb and flow.
There has to
give
be a
and take.
balance.
Well, it's a
Right.
continuum, right? There is no way.
Yeah, that's right,
That's right,
right.
too.
Yeah.
Just
It just is. It's all there. It's all moving in one place.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful anyways.
Right. So I'll just take a moment just to thank our audience for spending the time with us to enjoy Roland's sharing of stories and experiences. And you do have some type of connection website or something like that that you can share with us as far
Say
as
that again, please.
you have some type of website that
Yeah,
people
you can
just
go to rolandcomtois.net
okay.
and you'll find things. Or just type in my name and you
Sure,
you get
that's
stuff.
right. So, and that way it's COMTOIS, and this way people can maybe reach out and touch a different aspect of your experience.
I think
and-
that's a great idea.
yeah. So thank you very much for being with us,
Thank you, and thank you guys. I appreciate being with you again
Sherry
tonight. Thank you so
and
much.
Mariah and Roland.
We have enjoyed immensely your stories
Thank
of
you.
extraordinary and magnificent connection.
Thank you so
Right.
much. I
Right.
appreciate it.
Right. And so I just think it's great that you also were able to share with us how to go to center.
Yeah.
And a lot of us experience
That's only
that.
step
Some
one,
of us,
right?
Right.
We
But-
gotta get step one down, and
and then everything else falls into place. That's part of
does.
that's part of the foundation. You know,
Yeah.
you put your feet in the ground, you ground yourself.
you can't build a house without putting the foundation down.
Right.
Right.
And so
Don't
let's
answer
put
Then
the
it just
foundation.
happens. Then it just happens.
Yeah.
You know, the experiences you have just occur,
Thanks.
and it's spirit that directs it. So, what you're ready for.
I'm in.
So thank you, Mariah, Sherry.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Yeah. So
Thank you.
what's your next group?
I'm going to be in Florida a lot.
Really?